Hey everyone, nerdygymbros here, and we're going to talk about today is something I've been wanting to talk about for like 2.5 weeks, and what upsets me about this, the leak came too soon. So what we're going to talk about today is an open world Harry Potter game. I've been wanting to create a video about this for about 2.5 weeks now, and then all of a sudden, like a week ago, they're like, oh, there's rumors that there's an open world Harry Potter game. Well, you know what? Not happy with that right now. Well, I'm actually very happy about it because I miss playing Harry Potter. I grew up on Harry Potter. I read the Harry Potter books.
You can't tell.
That's a good point. But I love everything about the world of Harry Potter. So I mean, and I'm not. I didn't.
I never read the books. I only ever saw
You,
the
I know you
movies.
watched the movies. But, I mean,
Yeah,
I guess
tried
that just
my
kind of
assumption.
solidifies how much, because the two books that I read growing up was, not the two books, but the series that I got into growing up was Lord of the Rings series and Harry Potter. I mean, if that doesn't scream nerd, I don't know what does. But let's get to the game. I mean, I didn't read real in depth about the leaks or anything, because I didn't want to know, and apparently at some point in time a video came out or whatever, and once again, happy I didn't know because I wouldn't have watched it anyways. But what I want to talk about overall is, what do you want to see in an open world Harry Potter game?
Magic.
Wow, really? End of the video! Surprise!
See you next week.
Yeah. Wingardium Leviosa. I think is how it's pronounced. I don't remember. It's been a really long time.
Yeah.
Besides the point, though, other than your sarcasm, because in my head, how I picture an open world Harry Potter game is, or I guess what I think would be really cool about it would be to start like as a first year student, like when you first go into it all, and watch your character grow and interact. Because what I want choices in it. I don't just want to be, here's a world and here's a linear story and we're gonna send you here and there and stuff like that. And the thing is, I'd enjoy that, but I really want an in-depth, not obviously creating a character. I want something to really drive it forward. I want the choices that you make to really. What I mean, if there doesn't have to be choices. I mean, it can just be a linear open world game, and I'll be completely fine with it.
Choices.
But the thing with the choices that I'd like to see though is I get to change how people perceive your character. You know.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be cool, like at the beginning of the game. Remember, like how they would put that hat on you, and it would choose like what house you would go to. I think it'd be cool.
Not Slytherin.
I think it'd be cool, like at the beginning of the game, either have the hat or answer certain questions or whatever, and depending on your choices or whatever, it'll put you in a specific house. And
I think the thing that
regardless of what they do with it, I'm going to love it anyways. But
unless they completely fuck it up.
Then I'll cry myself to sleep at night. I'll cry magic tears. Tears that float. That's what magic tears are.
But the thing is, if you're gonna have choices, though, I'm not against starting as a first year and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, you can start like.
The problem that you'd have is if you do first year and your first year is as a child, like how Harry, Hermione, and Ron started. The problem you'd have there is that you're looking at you'd be looking at it as a game series. You wouldn't be able to do it.
Plus, and if it's just a whole game, that would be like 200 plus hours. Which I'm fine with. I mean, we play games that are
we have
forever.
Yeah, some of them that shouldn't have been forever. Not mentioning names just because that would be a dick move. But granted, I wouldn't be against it being like first open world Harry Potter, and then it turns into a series like the books and the movies were. Yeah. Where it's a long.
Well, I don't want it to follow like the movies and everything.
No,
I mean, they came out with movie games and everything, and when those came out, we played the fuck out of those, and I love those memories.
They stopped making movie games, or at least it felt like they stopped making movie games after a while.
Yeah, it's sad.
Always upset me.
I always enjoy doing it. But I don't want it to take.
Even the ones that weren't great, it was just fun to go through thing.
I still remember some X-Men game where you get to create slopes with Iceman.
Oh yeah.
I think it was actually.
I remember real quick X-Men Wolverine game, not the newer one, but like old one on the PlayStation 2.
Oh yeah. What the hell was that line?
Stay low, stay quiet, stay under, or stay alive.
Stay low, stay quiet, stay alive.
Yeah. Anyways, that was
a terrible Wolverine. I'm just gonna say, I mean, compared to Steve Blum, that was like, eh.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure Steve Blum was the one who voiced them too back then.
I don't know if it was all the way back then, but I know he does voice Wolverine and many other things. Anyways, that was a complete side.
Yeah, that was like nothing to do with Harry Potter.
But if they would do, I don't want them to do following. I wouldn't have a problem with them doing it as long as
you like see certain characters. I mean that to me, as much as nostalgia as it is, I want it to be its own thing. You know.
Here's my argument to that: The Godfather, the first one.
Okay, that's a good point.
That is the core of a wonderful fan fiction, basically, in the video game format.
Honestly, one of my favorite games of all time, that is definitely in the top 10.
And you could do a Harry Potter that follows the movies with an original character that you create and all that kind of stuff. But to do that and pull it off, in a way, I would not want them to do it where you're just there. You're not able. I'm not saying change if you're going to follow the Harry Potter story. Change everything that's in it. Have that ability, just because that's going to piss off a lot of people if you can also change certain things about it. But if they did it and they followed, whether it's in a specific time period of the Harry Potter universe, where Harry.
And the thing is, you don't have to start as a first-year student. You could start as an older student, which, in all honesty, it probably makes more sense to do that. And the whole reason why I wanted to start as a first-year student is to watch your character grow.
Yeah,
but that was the whole point with the choices and everything. I mean, you look at something like The Walking Dead, where the one Telltale, and obviously Telltale went under and ever, but my point is, I can't remember the female character's name, but she was in the first one, and then as the series continued, she got older and older. So that was, I'm not saying release it in series like that, but I was just saying I think it would be cool to see your character grow as you make the choices. That was all I was saying, but I mean, it doesn't have to be that. That's not my. It has to be. No, I mean, I think they could make a great story, and that's what I care about any game is. I want it to be very story heavy because
I don't want it to be an open world multiplayer where there's no story.
And the thing is, it could be good, but it's not.
I'm not into much of open world. There's very few open world multiplayers that I really care about.
Yeah.
Anthem is like one of the only ones that I've ever been like, oh crap, I actually want to play this game really badly.
I think the favorites are Anthem, Elder Scrolls.
Well, even with Elder Scrolls, as much as I enjoy our time playing it,
I thought we haven't got around to it, but I've always admired The Division. I've always admired Destiny, and even though we haven't got to those games, I've always liked the concept behind them.
And that's the thing. I liked the concept of the Elder Scrolls. I like the concepts of The Division and Destiny, but overall, it's just they might have stories and I just don't know about it. But otherwise, it's like there's not. In my time that I've played in open world multiplayer games, including just like things like Grand Theft Auto Online as well, where you're in a shared world. Most of in those games, I mean, it's fun for a little while for me, but to me it kind of drags on after a while. I was interested.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like,
which is why I would want the Harry Potter game not to be an online game like that, where it's like a shared world kind of thing. I'd rather it just be a Witcher kind of game where it's story based and it's the multiplayer is.
We compare so many things to Witcher.
But granted, Witcher didn't have multiplayer, so
yeah. But
I would want it so that if they did do anything multiplayer based, that's completely separate from the main game.
Like what Final Fantasy 15 did, where here's the main story, here's the open world, and then months later, here's the multiplayer.
Yeah. Because, to me, because of what Harry Potter is, granted, once again, I've only ever watched the movies. I think I read the first book, but
I read them all.
But my problem that I had is that I tried reading them when I was not really into reading at the time. So I never really got invested in the reading portion of it.
Yeah,
but I thought the movies were really good.
Yeah, because I think the first dorky book that you got into was Aragon.
Yeah, it was. But...
Because you didn't like the Lord of the Rings books. You loved the movies, but you didn't like the books.
I love the movies. And I like the After the Fellowship book where it's just Aragorn and Legolas and Gimli's parts of the books. Once you get to Frodo and Sam, it's just like, oh my god. He's so depressing.
Yeah.
Granted, I understand.
The thing is, I love the movies.
Yeah,
I love the movies more than the books. And the thing is, it was just like, it's nostalgia to me. It's like, I had so much fun. Like, the worlds to me when I was a kid was like,
But with a Harry Potter game, I would never want it to be a multiplayer because to me what Harry Potter is a very story-based, character-driven kind of thing. Story. I think was the wrong word there. But
so here's the question then. Do you want choices or do you just want a linear story? In the open world, obviously, but
I don't know, because it would depend on the kind of choices you're having, and depend on the kind of game that they're making. Because if they're making it an open world RPG kind of thing, where it's like a Final Fantasy 15, where it's like a Witcher 3, where where there's these tons of side missions that Witcher 3 are better than, because I haven't played Final Fantasy 15, so I can't really speak much for it. I only played the multiplayer so far. Not that I didn't want to play the story, it's just I was saving it until later.
Your queue.
Yeah, I have a huge queue of games to catch up on. But
which reminds me, I finished mine.
Yeah. But if it's gonna follow a Witcher, let's just say Witcher, just because I know that one better, or Skyrim, for instance. Granted, once again, Skyrim, two very different games, but where you have a main story quest line, and I want the main story quest line one to be very intense, and I want it to be very Harry Potter-y in it. But if you do a game where there's these tons of side quests, not meaningless fetch quests, but a Witcher style side quest where every mission is enjoyable in some vein or whatever, you know. If they did it like that, I wouldn't mind there being choices within the side missions, and if they don't follow the main movie storyline or whatever, they pick a certain time period within the Harry Potter universe that is not within the time period of the books and the movies and all that kind of stuff. If they did that kind of an original story, basically, then I wouldn't be against choices being in the main quest either. But once again, it would depend on what year you're starting and what kind of future are they planning for this game. Is it going to be a long series of games where you're, Mass Effecting it, where you're inserting your character with each new entry? Or is it just going to be one game to try to, capitalize on the Harry Potter series and make it as much of Harry Potter and
basically
make it like the Harry Potter game, but Witcher 3 level of awesomeness, I wouldn't be against choices in that kind of game at all. It's just what I want out of it is just to make sure that the story is really good. I mean, whatever, I don't know if there's classes, because Hogwarts is the school, so it's like, how is that going to work into? Is it going to be like a bully?
I would say you're like looking back at like bully, where you had to be at certain times, you needed to be at certain classes.
Is it going to be like that? I mean, we played past Harry Potter games, and I'm talking about way back when on the original PlayStation, where I remember walking around inside of Hogwarts where moving staircases were and everything, but I don't really remember a lot about that game at all. I mean, it's a long time ago.
Years ago.
It's like, are we going to be having to go to classes, and how are those classes going to work with the story? How is it going to...
If you're going to have classes, and I think it'd be cool to... if you're going to have classes, use it to progress your character, to level up your skill in whatever magic, whether it be the dark arts or whatever case may be.
But it's like, I wonder how the
Of course I say the dark arts versus the first one that came to mind.
It's like, how are the classes going to work into the game? I don't know how all of that stuff is going to work out. Like, will you actually be able to create a player, or are they just going to
One thing that's a must to me is they have to have a Quidditch thing. Have to.
It's like, and that's another thing, like, how does the Quidditch going to work?
That could be a mini game, mini game, but like a full-fledged type of a thing. When I say mini game, I just don't mean just something you just throw in there. I mean, I still want all the fun and everything of what Quidditch was, but because I remember years ago, like when they had Quidditch in the game, I always had a blast doing it when you're chasing the golden orb and everything. It was stressful.
The snitch.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the name of it. I just remember.
I don't know why I remember that. It's like the golden snitch or something like that.
Maybe, probably. And then you have if you had the two people on each team who went after that, and then you had the other balls that you had to throw through the hoops too. So I think that'd be obviously a fun fan add-on.
Yeah, but it's like, once again, it's like how, to me, it's like I don't know because there's so much.
But the only reason why I say these things is because I mean you look at the technology we have nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean you can do so much with the Harry Potter world.
Yeah, but once again, it's like how are they going to incorporate Quidditch? How are they going to incorporate the classes? Like, where is our person in this story going to be in their schooling? Like, what year are they in? Like, what, and then with all that stuff, and how are you going to work in this main storyline? And like, what kind of storyline is it going to be? Is it going to be a Voldemort level of bad,
Doomsday and destruction,
where it's like a bad guy Doomsday kind of stuff versus?
Well, I mean that could be another thing that you do. I mean you could, if you're gonna do a choice thing, choose like what side you're on, maybe. Maybe that's just going way too far.
No, but they do that with one Star Wars game where you could choose.
Which Star Wars game?
It was either like Knights of the Old Republic or something like that, where you could choose whether you went to the dark side or the light side or whatever. Point being is that, I mean,
I guess that even counts for the Force Unleashed too, depending on your ending.
That's not as
that wasn't my part. I was just what popped in my head.
Once again, though, it's like I don't know how all of that part, because there's so much within the Harry Potter world that exists with, like, obviously it's probably going to take place at Hogwarts, or Hogwarts is going to be somewhere within.
I still feel like the starting of the thing should, the starting of the game should take place via train.
I wouldn't be against that, but it's like
just as a stupid little fan service thing, like we're going to Hogwarts.
Yeah, but it's like I think it's gonna, like, I don't have like these huge reservations about it. Like,
I don't have these huge expectations of it's gonna be this or this, because there's no information about it out there at all.
At least none that we know.
Yeah, because like I said, didn't do much research about it. I'm like, oh well, shit, there goes my idea for a video. No, I can still make the video.
It's like I don't know how they're gonna work all of these different elements. Classes, the Quidditch, the just relationships with other characters within the games. I mean, that's one of the other things of Harry Potter. At least I don't know about Fantastic Beasts, but with Harry Potter, it was the bonds between Hermione, Ron, and Harry, plus all the other characters that they were going to school with. Some not as important as the others, or I say that, I mean minor roles in comparison to other major roles, but it's like, how is that all going to work out? Is it going to, that's, to me, is the big question for the Harry Potter game, is how are they going to work all of the, like if they're going to take place at Hogwarts, how are you going to work out all these things that are within the Harry Potter universe, if it's an original story, by the way, plus create,
and I hope it is,
this main quest line, and how is it going to be a pain in the ass to go to these classes, or to
or I'm going to be late.
Yeah, or is it going to be fun things? Like there's so much that they have.
Yeah, there's a balance there.
Yeah, there's so much within the Harry Potter world that they have to balance, that they have to figure out, like, how's the combat going to work? Like, what are we going to be fighting? There's so many, like, once again, it's like, are we going to be facing Voldemort level people by the end of the game, or are we going to be, is it
I think it would be cool to
because it doesn't need to be Wizard Simulator where you're just going to classes. And granted, people will probably be into that, but it's like, to me, that's not what it should be. It's like, it should not be Wizard Simulator, go around walking, doing classes, playing Quidditch, and that's it. I mean,
I want action, you want adventure, I want things blowing up.
That to me would just be like, oh my god, I can't believe that this is what they chose to do with this. It's like, it would be like if Batman was the Arkham series. If for the Batman Arkham series, instead of being Batman and doing all the cool parts of Batman, all you did was solve cases, going from detective mode to detective mode. okay, let's piece together this crime scene now. Let's go and capture the villain without a fight. That would be so boring.
But people would play that.
They would, but it would be boring because
Yeah.
I mean,
I
think
get-
about
I
that.
get
I
what you
mean, the
mean.
Batman Arkham series. I mean, how much combat that's in there. The
Yeah.
story that was within the Arkham series, the characters. I mean, definitely with when you're talking about expos with the expose. I don't know fucking where I was going for there, but how the villains were definitely with each game. Joker being the main one in the first one, but still having Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, and the Riddler through your com, which was just funnier than hell.
Yeah,
Are you cheating? Did you look it up on the internet?
That's true what I was about to say.
But it'd be okay. Let me rephrase my Batman Arkham comparison. It'd be like if Batman game was literally just collecting Riddler trophies and solving Riddler things. If they would take a Harry Potter game and go, okay, you're going to take classes and you're going to play Quidditch and that's all you're going to do in it.
Well, like Quidditch would be fun at least.
The Quidditch would be,
I hope.
the Quidditch might be fun, but it's like you're missing out on so
Yeah.
much if you don't.
If you have fighting in it.
If you have the
Because
combat.
that's what I was saying. I mean, with the, I guess, yeah, the combat of it, I think would be cool. Obviously, as with any video game, there's always a lock-on system. But I think it'd be cool to
No, that's not true. Witcher didn't have a lock-on system, at least not to my knowledge. I never used a lock-on system. If there was,
I don't remember. I haven't played The Witcher.
because you got into combat and you strafe and roll.
Yeah, but isn't that him locking onto the target? I don't know.
He locks on personally, but there's no lock-on button.
Okay, so besides the point, he's still looking.
Well, he might have a lock-on button. Like I said, I don't remember
I
using.
don't know. I haven't played The Witcher in a year. I don't remember. But that's besides the point. But I think it would be obviously you're casting spells or whatever. But I think it would be cool, like to bring up a shield or I don't know. It just I'm really looking forward to it, and
I don't want it to be Wizard Simulator.
and you don't want it to be Wizard Simulator.
Yeah. Otherwise, like I have no high expectations. I don't have low expectations. I don't have.
I'm just
any
happy that they're
concerns.
making another Harry Potter game. It's been too long
Yeah.
for me, anyways.
Like I said, I don't have high expectations. I have low expectations. I don't have any major concerns. To me, just the big question is how are you going to work a story? How are you going to work the classes, the Quidditch system? How are you going to work the combat? What kind of story are you going to tell? What kind of are you going to be able to, build relationships with other characters in the game, whether just through cutscenes that aren't interactive or interactive dialogue choices? Like, there's so much.
There's so many different things you can do with it.
And to me, Harry Potter definitely is because of how rich the universe is. Like, there's so much you can do with it. There's so much good storytelling, so much good fighting that you could do with it. So much that would be really
They could
awesome.
literally make it its own thing,
They could make it into
I
what
mean,
Batman Arkham became.
That's what I was
You
saying.
could make it into
Or
what The
what-
Witcher 3 became. You could make it into so many.
It could become one of the top staples for
Yeah.
AAA gaming.
It could be, but once again,
Is there a quadruple A gaming? Just a random
I
thought.
don't think so.
No?
I don't know.
Because I know AAA is like the big one, so it just popped in my head. I'm like, I wonder if there's like quadruple A.
Does that mean there's double A's and single A's then?
I think. I'm assuming.
Regardless.
That was a side note.
Yeah. Harry Potter could be a Batman, where
I like it
all
to
the
be on
Batman
a
games
Batman
prior to
level.
Arkham, where some of them were fun.
Yeah, I was
And
like,
we
I remember
played-
we played.
I mean, there was an old
the-
one that I can vaguely remember, but I don't I can vaguely remember it, but not like really any specific
I
details.
remember we
of it.
played. I think it was called The Dark Knight one after the movie
Yeah,
came out.
Batman Begins.
Yeah, after Batman Begins came out. I
That was a
enjoyed
lot of
that one
fun.
a lot.
And stigma behind superhero games prior to Arkham, there was a few good X-Men games. There was a few maybe good Batman games. Don't know if Superman had any. Don't know if any other superheroes had any prior to Arkham. But Arkham set a bar for superhero games
I mean, you look at.
and just games in general.
I was like, we haven't got around to playing the new Spider-Man yet, but I mean, you look at that. That to
Yeah.
me is like another like. This is what a superhero game.
Because
should
it
be.
doesn't have to be. You can literally look at how freaking awesome Spider-Man looks, just in how much everybody raves about it, how everybody's playing. But you look at Spider-Man game, the Arkham series. They set these hugely high bars, not just for superhero games, but for gaming in general,
Mhm.
because they broke away from
The stigma.
the stigma that is the superhero game of going through whatever,
But I mean,
movie that has come out recently.
The PS2 Spider-Man game.
Oh,
was a
hell yeah.
blast. I mean, we love that.
Yeah, but you look at these ones though, in comparison,
Yeah.
but definitely
Yeah,
the
it knocks it
reception
out
that
of-
they've gotten.
Yeah, it knocks it out of the park.
They became these huge, I guess, cultural games, you would say, that went even beyond probably comic fans. I mean, you probably remember reading comics of Batman. I personally don't know if I ever touched a comic.
That says that I'm old.
Yeah, I don't know if I personally ever touched a comic in my life, but
I think
I was into the cartoons, the Batman the Animated Series,
Yeah.
Batman Beyond, Static Shock,
Yeah.
all those.
Yeah. So I mean, technically, if you look at it that way,
We've been nerds for a while.
Yeah. Because we were kids.
But the point is that you look at what Batman Arkham series became, you look at what the Spider-Man games become, and how it draws in more than just the fan base of the comic book series, fans that love those things. It draws in gamers who are interested in the stories that are being told in the different ones, and who are interested in playing the combat or whatever. Whatever draws you personally into it. You could do that with Harry Potter, where the Harry Potter game doesn't have to be a
just for fans
game. It doesn't have to be a game that has, mediocre combat, mediocre story, mediocre anything whatsoever within it. It can be a top tier game that wins Game of the Year.
Yeah, like a Spider-Man, like a
Batman Arkham.
Yeah, like a Batman Arkham.
It can literally be a contender for a Game of the Year if they don't just look at it, okay, let's make this for the fans. Granted, stick to the source material. Don't piss off the legion of Harry Potter fans by what I mean by diverting is like by taking away specific characters or twisting the canon.
I just want the thing is I don't care about canon, and I understand that canon is a delicate subject to a lot of people, and to me it's like, as long as it's in the world and as long as there needs to be boundaries, obviously, but don't get pissed and just go off the rail because it doesn't follow your strict canon.
Yeah.
To me, if you live like that, you're never going to have these amazing games because you don't allow the writers and the creators and the developers to have creative freedom to truly immerse you more into this world and into the story.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, once again,
like I said, there obviously has to be a certain set of rules, but I mean, don't just, you can only do this, you can only do that,
Yeah, but if they're going to do a Harry Potter game, they don't need to just make it for fans of Harry Potter. They should make it so it's just a great game. It shouldn't just be a great Harry Potter game. It should just be a great game in general. And granted, if they did divert for canon, I probably wouldn't even notice because I don't know the Harry Potter series.
I don't even know it off the back of my hand anymore. It's been years since I've finished reading it.
Despite that, even if they did divert from canon, whether it's huge diversions or little diversions, as long as it ended up telling a good story, as long as it ended up still being an interesting game, I think they would be fine. Because I don't know how much of the Batman series sticks to complete canon for the game series. I don't know, if they divert.
The thing is, I've never gone into a video game thinking that.
Yeah, and I haven't either. It's just, granted, they might have stuck completely to the source material of Batman within the Arkham series. I wouldn't know just because, as much as I love the Batman series from the animated days of it, I don't know it like the back. There's very few series that I know like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
Mass Effect being probably really the only one that I could have.
Not even Naruto?
No.
Bits and pieces?
I could do some. I was talking about video games. I wasn't talking about all series.
I thought you were talking about it in general.
No, I was just talking about video games. There's very few that I could, and Batman was outside of, it was before video game. Anyways, point is that the Harry Potter...
The Harry Potter game can be so much more than just a Harry Potter game for fans. It can be on the level of a Spider-Man. It can be on the level of a Batman.
It could be on the level of The Witcher if it really wanted to, just because of what kind of material it has to work with.
Yeah, and that's what I want most. I mean, if you take anything from this video, that's what I want the most out of it. Is I want it to be a Spider-Man, Witcher, Batman.
Not in terms of combat.
No. I'm strictly talking about story-wise. That's what I want, this brilliant, amazing story that goes beyond the just for fans cliche. Like, don't just focus on, like you were saying, don't just make it a Harry Potter game. Make it a great game. And so it brings more people in, and that's great for everybody.
True.
But I mean, that's why we are looking forward to the Harry Potter game. I mean, obviously we went off on a few tangents there, but overall it's about gaming, and gaming's amazing. It truly is. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure you thumbs up the video, make sure you subscribe to our channel for more video game content, and make sure you leave a comment down below and let us know what video game you want to see us talk about next. So this is Nerdy Gym Bros, signing off.